Hey guys, today I'll be showing you another little Prodigy I've been working on. This is really the first video I've made of this one, but I'll just kind of give you an overview of what I've did. Once again, I've just been so busy, I hadn't had time to keep up with anything with videos. But this one here, when I got it, I actually took it apart. Somebody had painted it black, and it just looked really tacky, and it was kind of it was a poorly painted chassis. And basically, luckily, they didn't paint any of the labels. They just painted the wood, and they got overspray under the keys, so I had to take all that apart and clean it. But anyways, what I did, I took all the side panels off, I resanded them, I stained them, and got them to the color I liked, and I think they turned out pretty good. And it didn't have the original knobs. It had these, actually I'll show you, I've got them down here on the floor. It had these knobs here, which actually aren't bad looking, but I wanted to get the factories back on it. And those might go on another Prodigy project at some point in time. But I found these knobs from my friend Don Besker. He had them. And Don Besker, he worked at Moog back in the 70s. And luckily he had these new old stock knobs. And so I was able to put the factory knobs back on it, which is super. Perfect timing on that, Don, if you're watching this video. That was excellent timing, because I was really actually looking for these knobs. But anyways, the only thing that's really still missing is I'm missing two of the little slider caps. It's no big deal. Those are very common to be missing on these things. This one here already had the CV outs, because it's an earlier serial number. And so I really didn't have to modify this one quite as advanced as I did the last one I worked on that I modified. But actually, the story is behind this one, guys, is if you remember, I guess it was about last year, my friend had his Prodigy stolen. The one I did all the mods to it. I added the switches and everything where the expression pedal could work with it. Well, that one got stolen, as you remember in my video, I'm sure. Well, this is actually going to the same owner. I managed to find this one for him for a pretty good price, and I was able to fix it up for him, and I think he's going to be very happy with it. So it's kind of a happy restoration kind of deal here. It's something we hate that he lost his old one and we still hadn't found it, but I'm really happy that he's going to have this instrument back that he's going to be able to use. And actually, it's given me the opportunity to take all that circuitry I added inside his Prodigy, and I'm actually making my own custom product. So there's going to be, in the future, if you want to have some of those functions that you had on the late model Prodigy, or I'm sorry, the early model Prodigy with all these jacks, I've got a pedal I'm building now that will do everything that internal control lets you do with that Prodigy I modified. But now if you still have an early Prodigy, I can actually still modify it to have all these jacks. So that's something to keep in mind too. If you have a Prodigy that's sick and you need some help, I'll be happy to restore it for you and add the mods and whatever. But anyways, back to this one. I'm just going to give you a little demo. The only thing I did add to this one is I added a gate jack. So now instead of the S-Trig, which S-Trig, for anybody that don't know, I've never really explained the S-Trig versus gate. And let me go over this right quick with you. The S-Trig is actually inverted. It's like an inverted gate. A gate is 0 volts with no keys hit. When you hit a key, you have 10 volts. And that's a gate source. S-Trig is actually 15 volts until you hit a key and it's 0. And the theory is behind the reason they used the S-Trig was actually because Bob Moog, when he was designing the envelope generator circuits, he was using a doorbell button to do it. And that's just a short. And actually I like the S-Trig more than I do the gate, because in the S-Trig you can use anything as a trigger source, which is really cool, because all you got to have is something that you short out. It could be a foot pedal controller, it could be anything that's related to a drop in voltage or a short to ground, which is what this is. Where gate, you have to have at least something that'll produce 10 volts, which you can do the same thing like using a battery. Like a 9-volt battery is a trigger source, but it's not quite as easy as just having two wires or something you touch together to trigger. So with that said, that's just the difference between gate and S-Trig. That's really all it is. So anyways, what I did, I added the gate source, and I've got my sequencer set up. These are my analog system sequencers I had custom built, and very, very cool thing. And Mike, I'm really enjoying these things, by the way. I need to get back with you on these because they're super. And Mike's the one that makes them. That's the guy's name. Anyways, I'm going to give you a little demo here of what this thing sounds like. What I've got the bottom sequencer driving the VCF, and then I've got the top sequencer driving the Oscillator Sync. So it's this really cool sound. It's just being triggered off of the bottom sequencer. So anyways, I'll see if this is going to sound okay here, and we'll start it. And I've got them linked, so I've actually got timing between them synced. And I'm using a delay circuit that Mike threw into this sequencer for me, which I'm very happy with this sequencer. It allows me to offset timing, so I'm actually able to offset the timing and stuff. And I'm using one of the trigger sources down here as my clock source with a delay. So it works really cool, but you'll kind of pick up on how it's working. But here we go, we'll start it here. As you can see, this one's something like that. We'll go over here. So anyways, as you can hear, it's just a really cool sounding little synth now. And of course I can pass that in any other way. I can actually add that to the we'll take the Oscillator Sync and actually plug into the oscillator input. Actually, I'll tell you what, we'll do it right the opposite. We'll take the VCF, because I've actually got it already set up for a frequency step. Plug that one in there, and now you get something like this. Let's do a reset. Both of these, and we'll hit start. Next, if you can listen, you hear this sequence here controlling the filter. This one here. Anyways, you can hear it's working great. It's sounding great, and like I say, the only thing I'm waiting on now is I'm waiting for the foot pedal to come in that I ordered, so I can modify it and put my circuits in it, and it's going to do the same kind of thing that the other Prodigy did, just without all the mods internally. So anyways, this is the little project I've been working on. Just thought I'd share it. Take care, guys.